Anyone who knows me or watches my YouTube videos or follows me on Twitter knows that I've had a lifelong interest in Lego. It's the greatest toy in the world, no contest. And there are numerous reasons for this. As a matter of fact, there's a really good documentary called Beyond the Brick that outlines all of them. But one of the most obvious ones is its versatility. It's not so much about which particular pieces you have, it's actually more about what you choose to create with them. This is why my wife and I would rather buy our kids Lego creator sets than specifically designed or themed sets. For those of you who aren't savvy with Lego terminology, creator sets are just a polite way of describing a bunch of leftover or spare parts that someone tossed into a box and decided to sell. But the thing is, these sets challenge children to use their imaginations and become master builders.
With proper training, you could become a great master builder.
Now, you know who's not a master builder? Peter Chiarelli. Well, maybe he is when it comes to Lego. I don't know how he spends his spare time. But when it comes to constructing a roster, he's not. He does have some really good pieces, but unfortunately he's paid too much for some of the other pieces, and that's prevented him from adding more valuable pieces. Now, despite finding himself in a corner, one that he painted himself into, he continued his summer of surprising and refreshing shrewd moves on the opening day of free agency. First of all, I was kind of glad the Oilers didn't have money to spend this year. I look around at the league at some of the other GMs that I would consider master builders, and I'm shocked at some of the money and term they dished out to guys approaching 30 or on the wrong side of it. And secondly, Chiarelli did well with who he signed and the price that he signed them at. The Oilers needed some serious help on the penalty kill and more speed in their top 9 forwards, and these players addressed that. Sean Tierney posted a chart on Twitter of unrestricted free agent contracts versus expectations, and both signings fell very far on the right side of this. Sorry, not the right side in the physical sense. They're actually on the left side. Sorry, the left side. What am I talking about? What I mean is they're on the good or acceptable side. Anyway, there's quite a bit of familiarity with these two players in Edmonton. I'll start with Brodziak. The Oilers picked him in the 2003 draft, which was arguably the strongest and deepest draft in the history of the league. The Oilers had 4 of the first 72 picks and came away with Marc-Antoine Pouliot, Colin McDonald, J.F. Jacques, and Mikhail Zhukov. Those 4 would combine for a total of 50 NHL goals. Their best selection of that draft came in round 7 when they selected centerman Kyle Brodziak from the Moose Jaw Warriors. He worked his way into the hearts of Oilers fans down the stretch of the 2007-08 season, playing on a very effective line with Curtis Glencross and Zach Huggy Bear Stortini. In typical Oilers fashion, they traded him away before the best years of his career. Why do I cheer for this team again? Anyway, Brodziak led St. Louis forwards in PK time by over 48 minutes last year, so he fills a gaping hole for Edmonton's 25th ranked penalty killing unit. He also provides some solid veteran leadership, which is important since the Oilers lost assistant captain Eberle and emotional leader Hendricks last summer and didn't fill that void. And lastly, as long as he is healthy and fulfills his contract, he will play his 1,000th NHL game with the Oilers. Now, as for Tobias Rieder, he was also originally drafted by the Oilers in the 4th round of the 2011 draft. 2 weeks before he was fired, Steve Tambellini traded Rieder to the Coyotes for fellow prospect Cale Kessie in a singular, pitiful, and misguided attempt to address the Oilers' lack of toughness on their ultra-finesse NHL team. The fun didn't stop there, though. In December of 2014, he was the subject of one of my most embarrassing moments as an Oiler fan, when they gave up 2 shorthanded breakaway goals on the same power play in less than a minute at home to the Coyotes. That Arizona team won 24 games all year, and 5 of them were against the Oilers. Anyway, that game was basically the tipping point for me as a fan, as I made my original Oilers rant 3 days later. Now, What I like so much about this reacquisition is that Reeder will be a highly motivated player. He could have gotten a longer deal for more money from someone else, but he chose to come to Edmonton. And I'm sure it's because if he plays with fellow German Leon Draisaitl, he could easily set a career high in points and get an even bigger paycheck next summer. He would actually probably price himself right out of Edmonton, but I think that's fine because Kailer Yamamoto may be ready for a full-time spot by then. So like I said in my last blog, I just want the Oilers to have a nice, low-key summer, and these moves line right up with that. Now, if you'll excuse me, this Lego set's not going to build itself.